Welcome to Unbreakable Latina. Hi guys, welcome back to Unbreakable Latina. This is your host Melina. I hope you're having an amazing day, whatever day you're listening to this on. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. It's been a while since I uploaded to YouTube, so I decided to do my comeback on YouTube. I will be doing the podcast bi-weekly now, every other week. Till further notice. It's been so nice to do that and have every other week. I know I just started doing that, but it feels so much easier. I'm excited to record, to set up, because I feel like I take a nice little break. I do everything I need to do, and then I get to record, which I love doing it. But when it's every week, it becomes exhausting. And plus, your girl has a social life now. I did manifest that, and I've been socializing. Everyone's been telling me, like my friends at work or my cousins, like, you're always out, you're always doing something. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted, but I didn't realize how much energy that was going to take. So now that I'm getting the groove back and doing the podcast again, it feels good to have like a little break and be easier on myself, because I'm so hard on myself all the time. I always tell you guys that I always want to do more, and then I have all these things that I want to do, and then I get overwhelmed, and then I'm just like, I should just quit everything. If you're going through this as well in life, I see you. I know what it's like, because I go and spiral all the time. So last week, what did I do? What did I not do? I went to a Halloween party with my homegirls. It was one of my cousin's friends' Halloween party that we go to every year. I had fun, but the next morning I had my 5K, my first 5K. I finally ran it. That night I stayed out till like 12, and I was like, perfect, I'll get home and get like 8 hours of sleep. But if you remember, I've told you guys that I live like in a rancho area of Riverside, and there was someone that was just having the time of their lives, doing karaoke. Alguien andaba dolido, and they did not let me sleep. So when I got home, took off my makeup, I'm like getting ready to go to bed, and they just started their karaoke session, and it didn't end till like 4 a.m. By the time it was 4, my sister spent the night, and she was doing a half marathon. So I think she woke up like at 5 or 6 to get going for her half marathon. So by that time I was already sleeping. I slept like 1 hour altogether, and then I had to run a 5K. And I thought that I calculated the time, and I'm like, I'm gonna get there, I'll get good parking. But no, I was running late, you know me. And I ended up barely making it to the start line at 9 8. Like, it was like 8:59 and 50 seconds. Was it 8? I think my run started at 8:30. I don't remember what time my run started. Anyways, I made it to the start time like 30 seconds before they actually marked the start time for the 5K. And I took off, okay? I told you guys that I'm not a big runner, but I'm trying. And my sister kind of inspired me to get into the running world. I don't know if I'll go back. I'm just kidding. It's nice. It's nice. My first mile, I did so great. And if you haven't done a 5K, it's something like, it's an experience. So it feels so rewarding at the end. The most I'll ever do is a 10K. There is no way that I am running a half marathon, because I don't know. I don't hate myself that much. I'm just kidding. But shout out to all you runners, because I don't know how you guys do it. You inspire me, but couldn't be me. My mom did the walking 5K. My sister did the half marathon. So I got to the finish line first. And I was pleasantly surprised that I beat my time of the whole time I've been trying to run. And I was really proud of myself. Watching my sister finish her half marathon was really inspiring. I got a little emotional because I was like, oh my God. And like, I ran to the finish line to hug her. And then we waited for my mom, and my little homegirl was so happy. She was so excited. It was her first race. And I'm just proud of my mom and everything that she's down for, because homegirl's down for anything. Before I dive into today's episode, I wanted to remind you guys that it's important to vote. Election day is coming up, and I have had conversations with people where they're like, our vote doesn't even matter. Like, why do we care? Like, I don't even know anything that's going on. And I think that's so irresponsible for people to say those things. And it kind of upsets me a little bit. And I'm not here telling you that I'm an expert on politics, because I'm not. But what I do know is that I care about the future, I care about my family, and I care about equality and women's rights. Make your voice heard during this election. Please, please go out there and vote. On today's episode, I wanted to talk about eldest daughter syndrome. This term is something new that I think has been pretty popular in the last 2-3 years. I never knew it was a thing until social media happened, like TikTok, Instagram. And I realized that I suffered from this. I am a middle child. My brother is 6 years older than me. My little sister is 7 years younger than me. When my brother left to college, which was around me being like 14, I became the eldest daughter at home. According to this article that I read, these are some signs that you suffer from eldest daughter syndrome. Number 1, you have an intense feeling of responsibility. Number 2, you are an overachiever, type A, and very driven. Number 3, you worry a lot and probably have anxiety. Number 4, you struggle with people-pleasing behaviors. Number 5, you have a hard time placing and upholding boundaries. Number 6, you resent your siblings and your family. Number 7, you struggle with feelings of guilt. And number 8, you have a difficult time in your adult relationships. I think growing up in a Mexican household just adds more to the plate of this because of our culture. Our culture is women are here to take care of everybody and to put their needs last before everyone else's. And this is something that I've struggled with learning. I feel like I still fully haven't learned to let go of this eldest daughter syndrome. It's something that haunts me. On Instagram, I asked, what are challenges that you face being the eldest daughter? And let me just share a couple of the ones that people have shared with me. When you have to be a good older sister / mom, but you never had a role model. Another one, everyone always depends on me. I feel guilty for everything. Becoming my sister's second mom. Pretending like everything is okay because we don't know how to ask for help. Having to make my own path with minimal guidance from my parents. I feel guilty for not being there for my little brothers, but I have my own family now. Being a parental figure to both of my parents. Pressure. So much fucking pressure to be the role model. Not being able to mess up or you letting them down. Always taking the role as a third parent. Setting the prime example of being compared to my cousins that have figured it out. Setting boundaries, navigating college as a first gen and learning lessons to then help my siblings, being the example. I help everyone take care of everyone, but I can't rely on anyone, feeling alone. Strictest level of parenting, raising your siblings, putting others' needs before mine. I feel guilty when I do things for myself. Always being the strong one. Ooh, I feel that one. Being hard on myself and feeling like I have to fix everyone's problems. I suffer from that too. You're expected to mother all of your siblings like at age 5. Always expected to be there. Always fixing everyone's problems and getting the shit end of the stick. Learning to put myself first. Setting boundaries and being a bad sister for saying no. Oh, I could go on for days on this subject. Leaving for college and moving out of my parents' house. Having to be the role model of my family. Being relied on so much then you feel guilty because you have to split time between your family, your friends, your boyfriend. Always taking care of everyone. I needed to have it all together. Doing things perfect for my siblings because I'm their role model. Feeling that my family won't show up the same way I show up for them. This was a hard lesson that I had to learn, and I've shared this before. Letting go of my expectations for people because not everyone's going to show up for you like you show up for them. Everyone that shared basically is saying that they feel the pressure to be perfect. They feel the pressure to set an example for their siblings, and I have felt this. I also feel like a sense of responsibility for taking care of my family, for getting them out of problems, always worrying about them. And it's been so hard to unlearn to put myself first. I've shared this throughout my journey of the podcast. I used to take everyone's problems to heart. I used to lose sleep over them. This is a bad example, but I always say I'm Captain Save-A-Ho. Like I'm always trying to save everybody. And not that my family is hoes, but that's what it feels like. Like I have to save everyone. I have to solve everyone's problems and looking for solutions. And not that I don't care about my family. I care about them deeply. Obviously, you guys know that my family means the world to me. But it's a lot of pressure when you're trying to figure out who you are, that you lose sight of yourself and that you lose who you are because you are, te estás haciendo pedacitos for everybody, right? And then when something happens to you and no one shows up for you, or they disrespect you, or they don't appreciate what you do, then you get down. How I show up for everyone is not how they're going to show up for me. I don't even know how to put this into words, but what I do want to share is that I don't resent my parents for me suffering with the eldest daughter syndrome, especially knowing that my mom was the only daughter in her family and she did take that role as a second mom to her younger siblings and sometimes even to her older siblings, that she ran a household at like 14, 15 while my grandmother worked. Her mom worked, she was a single mom. So my mom took a lot of the responsibility of the home duties. And I think that growing up, she was like, I'm not going to do that to my kids. So she didn't do that to me. She didn't force me to cook. She didn't force me to like go and like help her raise my sister. I just took it upon myself because I don't know, I was very overprotective of my little sister. And this goes hand in hand with like the parentification and just taking a step back and being a sister. That's something that was a huge lesson for me, where when I was what, I don't know, like in college and my sister was like a 15-year-old and there was a lot that I wanted to protect her from. And I remember one time my sister telling me, like, you're not my mom. You're not the boss of me. And I'm like, wait, but like I pay for your cell phone. So growing up, my parents were not doing well financially, so I had a job and I would pay for my cell phone. In the beginning, my mom was like paying my cell phone, and then things got hard and my dad lost his job. So anyways, when my little sister turned into this like 12-year-old, and all the kids had cell phones back then. It was, I don't know what year it was, but it was a normal thing for kids to start having cell phones, and my mom didn't want to give her a phone. So I was like, okay, well, I'll give you a phone. I'll put you on my plan and I'll pay for it. But then I started being her mom, checking up on where she's at or what she's doing and why is she on the phone so late. And granted, I was on the phone late, but no one ever caught me because I would hide. And then I started being like this like mom to my sister, and my sister was like, wait, what the heck? But I took the responsibility on my own to provide for my sister because I didn't want her to be left out. I wanted to protect her. I wanted her to be cool because I had my brother, when I was around that age, was in college. So he wasn't around, even though like through the phone or through like online or emails, like we talked. It wasn't the same as having him here in person. He was gone. And I know that he went through a lot being the firstborn in a first generation Latino household, but I always took it upon myself to like insert myself into protecting my sister. And that's something that was so hard to unlearn. It really was a challenge in our relationship. It was a challenge. We became like little enemies because she was like the ungrateful kid that had a cell phone at this age while I didn't have that. And I started becoming resentful towards her and being like, you have it so easy. Like, I had it so hard. Like, why do you get to enjoy it? And then you're disrespectful to top it off. So it was like an ongoing battle all the time. I wanted to like give her everything. She was not appreciating it as much as I wanted her to show me her appreciation. So I built up resentment. I would be like, yeah, you don't even know what it's like to have this, or you're so ungrateful, you're so this. But that was not her fault. It was my fault for putting all those pressures on being the eldest and trying to like make it easier for her because I didn't have it as easy. Because of this, I feel like our relationship, it took us a while to get to where we are today. Like, all these issues made us have a difficult relationship for a few years. Now, the last like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years have been beautiful, but it wasn't always like this. And it was when I learned to take a step back and be a sister and not try to act like a parent. And that is hard because I have a lot of conversations with friends that are, have younger siblings, and they're like, oh, but they don't respect me or they don't do that. That's not their job. It's not their job to respect you. You grew these expectations because you took that role on. I'm not saying that I was pressured into being this person that I am. It's just you felt this sense of responsibility, and your parents didn't say like that's not your responsibility. If anything, they're like, thank you for helping me out. When I would share with my mom like, oh, Roxana's doing this, blah blah blah, and she doesn't care and this and that, and being a little snitch, I was a snitch. Snitches get stitches. But that caused a lot of tension between us. And I remember my mom not telling me anything like, oh, that's not your responsibility or you should not do that. No, if anything, she would encourage it. And that's why I thought it was okay to do things like that. I also remember being like my parents' legal person, translating documents, and it was a lot of pressure. And even till this day, sometimes I'm like, okay, mom, like, let me teach you how to do this so that way you don't have to ask me, because figure it out on your own. Like, if I could figure it out on my own, you could figure out. It sounds really harsh to say it like that, but obviously there's nicer ways to say it. But I'd be like, Mom, let me teach you so that way you could learn. Let me write it down for you so you could learn. And I'm not complaining. I don't want it to come off as complaining. I'm just sharing my experience because I know it's a unique experience for us being the eldest daughter. Like, sometimes you talk to people like at work and they come from different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds. And they had such a childhood or such a teenagehood, and I didn't have that. I had a lot of responsibilities, and granted, it wasn't as bad as some other people that I know, but still, I was just a kid. I was just a teenager. I didn't have to be worried about how my parents were going to pay their house. When I was in college, I've shared this before, but my dad struggled with the gambling addiction. And I recall waking up like at midnight whenever he got paid and making sure that I got to his check before he got to it. And I would leave him with an allowance. What type of person has that responsibility? Did I take it upon myself? Yes. No one asked me to do that. But I was trying to solve the problem. I was trying to have a roof over my head. I didn't want my mom, my sister, and I to be homeless. So I would wake up in the middle of the night and transfer money to my account so that way my mom could pay the mortgage. And looking back, I'm like, that's insane. Like, I was working part time, I was going to school full time, and I was still struggling with all these issues with my family and taking that responsibility that should not have been mine. I should not have been worried about that. I should have been chilling, going to college, and having a crazy college experience, but I didn't have that. And looking back, I'm like, damn, that sucks that I lost so much of that. And it made me who I am today, but also there's a little resentment of like, I could have just been hanging out in college and like being cool and working my part-time job and joining clubs and being active in college, and I wasn't because I was too worried about my family and the outcome that my family was going to have if I didn't take on that responsibility. I feel like because of this, I had to grow up really fast. And everybody always brags about, oh my God, your daughter's so responsible and your daughter, like, she's such a hard worker. Because I had to be. I had to be. There was no one that was going to come and save me. Although I am proud to be an independent person, sometimes I feel like I wish I had room to mess up. I am an overachiever. I'm always trying to do the next best thing. And sometimes that's a lot of pressure. And I just want to take a step back. I recently recorded a TikTok and I was saying that I'm tired of being an overachiever. Like, I just want to cruise through, in my career. And that my biggest downfall was being an overachiever and just wanting to do the best all the time because I felt like I just had to. I had to, and I just want to cruise and I want to chill now. It's something that's changing throughout my life, and I'm no longer putting this big pressure on myself to be, the best, and I want everybody to think that I'm awesome and that I want to make my family proud. Like, yeah, I want to make them proud, but at what cost? I'm not going to let my mental health dip again. I'm learning how to put boundaries. Like, that's one thing that I've always talked about that I struggled with, and now I'm really good about it. And sometimes I don't even recognize myself, like, just setting boundaries with people and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, but like, if someone tells me something, I'm able to respond to them, not in like a defensive way. I'm able to talk to them and express my feelings. Oof. I know it's hard for you guys to believe, but it's been really hard for me to express my feelings. And just in general in my relationships, like, disappointing people, and sometimes nomás like looking past things that people say because I don't want to disappoint them by telling them how I really feel. And this last month, let me tell you, I've been so honest with people that it's cost me friendships because I cannot pretend to be someone I'm not. And I value my friendships and I value my relationships so much that when someone disrespects me, I'm going to tell you that you disrespected me. And it's like a whole new person that I'm becoming, and I love it. And at the same time, it breaks my heart because I've always been such a people pleaser and I want everyone to be happy and I want to save everybody. But in being that, I have lost a lot of myself, but I'm finding her and I love her. She's amazing. So I have changed a lot, but it took me a lot to change. And I think that this eldest daughter syndrome does tie into your other relationships, and you just become this person that's always willing to give, but no one gives back to you. And then you're like, wait, why does no one give back to me? And I'm getting a little emotional. It's cost me a lot to unlearn all this. And it makes me feel less alone that a lot of you guys are going through the same thing, or feeling like, this responsibility all the time of like saving everyone and being the pillar to your family. Another challenge that comes with being the eldest daughter is the struggle of honoring your family traditions, but at the same time wanting to do things on your own, right? Taking time for yourself. And I feel like it's a struggle to try to hold those family traditions at the same time, want to do better for yourself, but then you're going to let your family down, but then you're letting yourself down. So it's a lose-lose situation. At some point, I feel like if you're eldest daughter, you have to learn to put yourself first. And yeah, that's hard. It's really hard. It's not easy, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. I think I've talked about this before, where sometimes I haven't shown up to family outings because I already had plans, and my family does last minute plans, but then they're like, oh, you didn't come. And I'm like, I've had this plan for months. It's not that I don't want to go, but in the beginning, oh my gosh, it was so hard to choose to do what I already had planned, or I would bend over backwards to be everywhere in one day. And then I wouldn't get to enjoy myself. And then I would feel guilty about leaving early for my families or leaving early for my friends. It was definitely hard to unlearn the fact that I don't have to put the traditional needs first. I could put my needs first. I feel like all the problems come from being an eldest daughter. Learning how to say no. Learning how to say not today. I think I have a whole episode on learning how to say no, because another challenge that I faced was disappointing people. I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I want everyone to be happy. And if someone asked me to do something, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do it, I would feel so guilty, so guilty. And now I'm like, I just can't. It is what it is, and move on. It's so important to learn how to say no. It's important to set your boundaries, and it's important to put yourself first. And all this is not going to happen overnight. You have to practice it. Little by little, you will practice and you will get better. You're not going to be burnt out anymore by trying to be there for everybody else. You're not going to be disappointed because you're not going to expect anything from anybody else. So that way you could be a better version of yourself, because that's helped me so much in my self-love journey, discovering myself. This whole podcasting journey has helped me, and just sharing my story with other people. You feel a sense of, I'm not alone, and I'm not the only one that feels like this. And it's very empowering to feel that way, because when you go through these things and you don't talk about them, you feel like I'm the only one that goes through this. And that's the whole reason I started the podcast, is because I felt alone in so many things. And now I'm like, girl, everybody feels like this, just people don't talk about it. I've talked about a lot of bad things being the eldest daughter, having the eldest daughter syndrome. There's a lot of good things that come from that. You mature, you're financially responsible, and at some point you learn not to care anymore about what anyone thinks. And it's so empowering the moment you reach that. I know like a lot of my listeners are in their 20s, but the older I get, I'm 34 now, the less I care about what people think about me. I don't care about what anyone thinks about me. The only thing that matters to me is my happiness and my health, and just accomplishing all the goals that I have. Yes, I still care about my family. I love them dearly. You guys know that I'm a family girl, but I'm not gonna lose myself for everybody else, because I've done that before and I was very unhappy. My mental health took a toll for the worst, and therapy really helped me. So if you're struggling with this, go to therapy. It's funny because with therapy, they literally just call you out. So if you want to get called out, sign up for therapy. But it really is like, truly, you know how you feel deep down, but it takes somebody else that does not know you to say it. When I went to therapy, my therapist was like, can I ask you a question? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, why are you taking all these responsibilities when they're not yours? These are your parents' marital problems. And it just blew my mind because it was so simple, but it was someone who had no idea who I was, where I come from, what I've been through, a little bit, right? Because I've shared. But this person had no knowledge except like just literally something so simple as, why do you care so much? These are not your responsibilities. And calling me out, it hurt. And then, but it totally changed the way that I thought. But it didn't happen overnight. Like I said, it's something that I've been working on. When my parents were going to marital problems, I was literally the referee. And looking back, I mean, I was a college student, but that shouldn't have been my responsibility to be the referee and to be like, no, you talk now. A mediator. They should have gone to therapy. Sorry, mom. Sorry, mom. Don't hate me. I feel like this episode needs to be so much longer than what it is. I don't even remember what I've talked about so far because I've been all over the place. But what I want to say as an eldest daughter, you are seen and you are not alone in going through this. And I know that some of us have had it worse than others. There's a lot more pressure. Thankfully, I never had to take care of my siblings or raise them or feed them or anything like that. But I know my mom did, and I know that that was something that now looking as an adult and seeing the past and how much my mom gave in to her younger brothers and always took care of them and always looking till this day, she's still looking after them. And they don't appreciate it. And it hurts me to see that, but at the same time, I'm proud of her for how far she's come. And like, I talk to her because she feels bad. She feels bad for like not being in their lives, but they're grown adults and they haven't got their life together. So I always tell her, like, you did the best. You sacrificed a lot of time of your own that you could have been pouring into you. So remember that if you're an eldest daughter and you're pouring into everybody else's cup, stop pouring into their cup. Let them dehydrate. Seriously, pour into your own cup and trust me that your life will change for the better. I constantly have this conversation with a friend of mine, and shout out to you. You know who I'm talking about. And we share these things and we talk about like how much, time we've lost, or the fact that there shouldn't have been this much responsibility on us, or how we expect people to do things and they don't, and then it breaks our heart. But we're learning to be there for each other, create our own happiness, and put ourselves first. Like, that's tough. I also wanted to share this love letter that one of my amigas, my online amigas that I've never met in person, but she's Doctora Lisette Sanchez. She wrote an article for the Hip Latina, and when I read it, when she sent it to me, I was like, wow, this is so true. And it's a love letter to the eldest daughter. And I'll link the article on the show description. But it says, Querida chingona, I have been spending a lot of time reflecting on your journey, thinking about the heavy burdens you have been carrying, the pressures and responsibilities you may have felt. You had to grow up quickly, set your dreams aside, prioritize others' needs before yourself, relying solely on your strength when all you desired was carefreeness of your childhood free from worries. I am writing to you, not just as a therapist, but as someone who deeply admires the fuerza in first-generation chingonas like yourself. I wish you could see yourself through my eyes. I have admired you for so long, and I am unsure that you view yourself as I do. I see immense beauty in you, in your outward appearance, what you consider your flaws, and in your spirit. Your resilience, determination, and work ethic and bravery astound me. Your resourcefulness and ability to adapt to new environments is unmatched. However, it pains me to see the sacrifices and selflessness demanded of you, the obligations and responsibilities you've had to carry. These sacrifices have led to a focus solely on the goal, blurring your ability to recognize your own magnificence or enjoy the fruits of your labor. Even when you attain some level of success, it might still not feel sufficient. I wish you realized how exceptionally rare and remarkable you are, how incredible, powerful your story is. You're a trailblazer, navigating challenges that many cannot fathom. Being the first in your family to graduate from college, start your own business, seek therapy, or provide for your family is a monumental responsibility. Your journey is a testament not only to your personal strength, but also a beacon of hope and a source of pride for our comunidad and future generations. You are the manifestation of our ancestors' wildest dream. Eres magia. Your story is incredibly powerful. I want you to know that your feelings are valid and understood. It's natural to feel overwhelmed by the expectations placed upon you, both from within and from those around you. Remember that it's okay to ask for help, to take a moment for yourself, to acknowledge both your achievements and your struggles. I also want you to know that I have big dreams and wishes for you, but not in the way that you're expecting. I wish for you to have moments of softness and rest from your inner critic, from the shoulds and the have tos and rest from the pressures of doing it all by yourself. You also deserve to be free from guilt in those moments of peace. Lastly, I wish you to remember that you are not alone. We often hear it takes a village, yet we rarely embrace the true meaning in our lives. Remember, your path lights the way for others. Your courage, your resilience, and your journey reminds us of the beauty and strength found in togetherness and shared vulnerabilities. Let this be a reminder that you're never alone. When you embrace help, you honor the collective spirit that ties us, acknowledging that our journeys are interconnected and enriched through mutual support. Thank you for being a source of inspiration and for reminding us of the power of resilience and hope. May you continue to move forward with the same courage and determination that has brought you this far. Con muchísimo amor, Dr. Lizette. I think that was so beautiful when I read it. I was like, I feel seen. So thank you, Dr. Lisette Sanchez, for that beautiful letter to all of us eldest daughters. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Follow me at Unbreakable Latina on TikTok and on Instagram. And I'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. Keep an eye out for my vacation content. I cannot wait. I deserve this vacation. Your girl's been working hard. I missed you guys so much, and I'm so glad to be podcasting again. Please tag me when you listen to the podcast. I love to see it. Remember that you are a chingona, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.